Welcome to Camp Chaos, where we celebrate the wild ride of modern womanhood.
Join us as we dish on motherhood, life's ups and downs, and all things pop culture that we know you want to talk about.
With special guests and expert insights, we're here to empower you through the chaos of everyday life.
Consider this your ultimate escape from the hustle and bustle. And as always, parental guidance suggested.
Camp is now in session.
I think what also is like catching me at a loss for words is like, this is every mother's worst nightmare, but you can't really think about it. Or if you do think about it, you kind of like shut that thought off, and you just so eloquently opened the door that no mom really wants to see behind. And like you bravely sharing this to me is like what's making me so at a loss for words, because it's something almost that as a mom you're scared to hear, because this is a thought in every mom's mind. I think at some point is like every night I beg God, I'm like, please just keep my baby safe, healthy, and protected. Safe, healthy, and protected. You could do anything to me, anything to anybody else. I don't care. Keep my baby safe, healthy, and protected. And I think that's what's catching me right now is like, I feel like you just opened this door on like an experience that obviously we don't want to hear, but it's so brave to hear. And it makes you understand and like think about every time you drive by Chalk, like what's going on in there. You had to sit in the ICU and see people, like hearing that. It's like you went through so much trauma, but you so bravely shared all of it. And I think that's what's catching me right now, like at a loss that I don't really know what to say, because it was so beautiful and so sad and heartbreaking. Like it's so many things hearing Will's story, but I feel like I know him.
Yeah. He was so special. And like, I truly believe like God chose Mike and I to be his parents.
Yeah.
And I truly believe like Will is an angel 100%. And he was meant to come into this world to be this huge impact, this beautiful light, this beautiful soul, and then go back home to our Heavenly Father.
Yeah.
Like I truly believe that. And I know that in my heart. And I know I'm going to be back with my son.
100%.
And I think I could not have gone through this without faith.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine people who don't have some type of faith going through something like this, because I know that my son is looking out for me. I know that like he handpicked each one of his brothers that came after him. And I know that like he's in a better place. And I know that this was our story, and this was something that God challenged me and my husband with and our family with. And it's up to me to like rise to the occasion and to like do things like be here and share his story. And he is like truly a beacon of light for me. And he's given me, through all of this pain that I've experienced, so much purpose. Yeah. And being able to change like this tragedy into something that's more is my like mission. And it's like what I wake up to, and like that's how I continue.
So after going back to the day that it happened, after your cousin Allie walked him down, what happens with you and your husband? How do you guys move forward?
I honestly think the hardest moment of my life was because we were living at the hospital. So we had like suitcases, and like you collect stuff after a while. Having to pack up our stuff, and like we had Will's car seat there, and having to pack up all of his like baby things, but like our baby's not coming home with us, was so hard. Like that was really, really hard. Was just having to like pack up his things and his little stuffies and his pajamas and his things, and like, but Will's not with us. We literally drove home, and my family and my husband's family, and it was late, all came over to our house, and they were just there for us. And we just cried, and they were just there for us. And the first few days were really hard. I don't think I got out of bed. It's kind of a blur. But our family just really rallied around us to help us get through that first like phase of grief. I had a really great friend who, again, and like because if I was in this situation, I wouldn't know what to do. I feel like a lot of people are like, they don't know what to do for us. We did know that it was important to us that we wanted to like bury him right away. And so like, I think after like he had passed for like just a few days, Mike and I, we had to go to like pick out a cemetery, go pick out like a plot for our son, do funeral arrangements. There's like a lot that has to be done after, you know, just to like plan the funeral and all of that. And so our family definitely helped us. And I have a really, really incredible friend who took on a lot for us. She helped with like florals, and we had like a celebration of life for Will that she completely put together for us and took over. So that there was a lot of that. And I remember like we went to the funeral home, and I remember when they called us and said, your son is here. And I just wanted to see him. This is so morbid. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
So we went to visit him at the funeral home, and we had to pick out like what he was going to wear. And so when I was pregnant with Will, we took a trip to Hawaii, and there was like in like the hotel like gift shop, there was like all these like little raised green spooner like Hawaii outfits. And so there was like a matching father-son little outfit. And Mike was like, how old is Will gonna be on like for his first Father's Day? And he was gonna be like 9 months. So we bought him Mike and Will, this little matching Hawaiian outfits. And Mike was like, this is what I'm going to wear on my first Father's Day with my son. So we were like, what's more fitting than putting Will in his little Hawaii outfit? And so unfortunately, Will passed away right before Father's Day. But now every Father's Day, Mike wears his same shirt, his shirt. And we got the same shirt for my dad and my brother-in-laws and Mike's dad and his brothers. And so for Father's Day, they wear their Will shirts so they can match Will. And then like for like Will's birthday, Mike always wears his shirt, and for special occasions he wears his shirt so that he can match Will.
Oh.
So yeah, we then had a rosary service and then buried Will. And right away, I knew like the experience I went through. I wanted to do something to honor Will. And I think everyone deals with grief differently. I wanted to do something. I went through this horrific experience, and I met so many families at Chalk whose kids were going through cancer, and met other children and heard about their stories. And I knew I wanted to do something to honor my son and all of these children. And so when I was actually in the hospital, I have a friend from like past lives who reached out, and it's like I hadn't heard from this person in years and years and years. And he said, I have one of my really good friends is the president of the Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation, Jerry Wilson. You guys need to be connected. And so I ended up reaching out to Jerry. She's now like, she's family.
Yeah.
I have a lot of family members after this. And it was so funny because she's like literally, so she came and visited us in the hospital and got to meet Will. And she was sitting there, she's like, literally in like the last month, I've had 6 different individuals reach out to me who are not like from different aspects of my life saying, you need to meet the Irwins. You need to meet the Irwins. And so she's like, I had to meet you. And so her and I connected right away. And she had a lot of different contacts of people that I ended up like reaching out to, different specialists for other opinions, and some other like holistic doctors who would come and do holistic pain management for Will. So I had this wonderful doctor who would do like the seeds and different pressure points and things just to keep him comfortable in the hospital. And she helped arrange all of that. And so, and Jerry will tell you, she talks about when she got to first meet Will, and just like her talking about that is really special too. And she's like, he was just everyone, like he had the brightest big blue eyes and was always just smiling and happy and very engaging. So I'm really happy that Jerry got to meet him. When Will passed away, once we got through the funeral and everything, I reached out and I said, I want to do something. I don't know what it is yet, but I want to do something. I want to like honor Will. And so that's when we kind of started our Will Irwin Fund with the Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation. And that was kind of like the start of us fundraising and trying to be a part of like the answer and to help find a cure for pediatric cancer. And so we, since Will passed away pretty shortly after, we've just been fundraising, and that's been something that's been kind of my now job. You know, I was like telling my husband after all of this, I'm like, I don't think I can go back into like sales again.
You've seen too much.
I'm like, I can't go back into like slinging software, you know,
No.
after like what I've gone through.
Yeah.
And like,
you have a bigger purpose.
Yeah. And my husband was extremely supportive, because it's a lot like, okay, that like, you're now completely financially responsible for our family, but he was so supportive, and he's like, whatever you need to do, like I support it. And, so that's kind of has been, besides being a mom, has been like my big purpose is advocating for children with cancer, and also like fundraising for research, because that's the only way to find better treatments, new treatments, give hope to these children is through research. And unfortunately, pediatric cancer is so underfunded.
It's just insane.
It's
That's insane. That's such a weird concept to think that of all the cancers that pediatric is so underfunded.
It's so underfunded.
It's actually disturbing to think about.
It's very disturbing. And there's like incredible doctors out there, and there's incredible researchers and like the answers out there, and they're just not getting funding. What? So there's these like trials that has so much promise, but they just like can't.
They have no money.
They just don't have money. So I got to give them money.
Got to get the
We have
money.
to give them money.
Got to get the money.
Everybody's got to give them money.
Yeah.
You know what's incredible to hear as you share the story is you keep saying, like, even after Will passed, oh, my husband supported me this, or we supported. And I feel like that something like this can break a family, a marriage, most likely can. And so to hear that you guys are constantly supporting each other, what was that journey like for you and Mike after going through Will?
Yeah. And I know we kind of talked about this a little bit, but it's so crazy when you're put in a position, especially I feel like kind of growing up, how we all were blessed to grow up, like how little you really need, right? Yeah. To be happy. And those days when it was just the three of us living in a hospital room, I didn't need anything more than that. I had my husband, I had my beautiful baby, and we were in this tiny room, but like my heart was fulfilled. And I would go back to living in that hospital room if I could have my son back. I would give it all up, you know? Yeah. And we were really like the three of us, my husband and I definitely worked as a team. We had the same mentality, and we supported each other, and we were a team. And it was like the three of us were just like Team Irwin. And when Will passed away, we had a very real talk. My husband and I, we went out to dinner one night, and it was like, okay, this just happened. We lost our son. We went through the most unimaginable thing that could have possibly happened. Like, where do we go from here? Like, where does our relationship go from here? And something that was very empowering was like, for us is like, okay, it's our choice. If we choose that it's too hard to stay together because it's just a daily reminder of what we went through, that's okay. That's okay. If this is something we just need to like move on from in order to like survive,
That's okay.
That's okay. And we both though said no, like we are going to continue to honor our son's life. Will was never meant to be the only child. We had 5 embryos, right?
You and Mike said that you wanted a family, you wanted kids.
We wanted kids, and Will was meant to have brothers and sisters. And so we're going to honor Will by continuing that vision for our family. And we're going to honor Will, and that's what we're going to choose. And I don't know if it was like, we said, okay, we are going to stay together and we're going to continue to support each other and we're going to continue to grow our family. And that is our choice. And we're going to wake up every day and we're going to choose each other. We're going to choose our family. We're going to choose to honor our son's life in a beautiful way. We are not going to be the victims. We are not going to be the people who are like, oh, look at that sad mom and that sad dad. And they lost that's the couple that lost their child. We're not going to be those sad people. We're going to choose to be better than that. We're going to choose to be advocates for these other children. And I like never want to be the victim. I never want someone to look at me and think like, oh, she's sad. Because Will was not sad.
He was the happiest little baby.
He was the happiest baby. And so he's like my motivation. And
yeah,
of
you're
course,
just so lucky that you were his mom.
I'm so lucky that I'm his mom. Yeah. Like so lucky that God like chose us, really. Yeah. And so that was like the choice that we made. And I honestly think we may have like shook hands, like to solidify it. And like, this is our promise to one another and our promise to Will and our promise to our future children.
So from there, how did you go about the grieving on your own? Like, how did you move past this? I'm sure you still have not. I was going to say, how did you move through it? How are you moving through it?
Yeah. I did quite a bit of therapy. I went to a bunch of different, I actually like went to a bunch of therapists till I found one that like worked for me. There was like just going through that whole process.
Like, you're funny. Kidding me. Like, did you hear what I just said? Like,
yeah, there was like, I remember there was this one, right? And I would be like showing up like sad and like frumpy. And she was like this beautiful supermodel in like this little pencil skirt. And
this is not going to work.
And I'm like blubbering. And she always had like straight face. And she would just be sitting there saying, and I'm like blubbering, crying. And I was just like, and I'm like, this is not going to work.
So how many therapists did it take?
My 4th one.
Okay, that's actually.
And she was amazing. She would cry with me. She was what I needed.
Yeah.
We would cry together.
It's like dating, I think, trying to find a therapist.
100%. And she would, can you show me pictures of Will? And there would be some session where we just like watch videos of Will.
Oh, and that's what you needed.
And that's what I needed. Just to recognize him.
Yeah.
He existed.
Yeah. In a big way.
In a big way. And so there was some different, I did like EMDR.
Is EMDR like hypnosis therapy?
It's like supposed to like train your brain. So something that I really struggled with after he passed away was like, I would like almost like get into my own head and I couldn't have like a happy memory of Will without then replaying his whole life. So like, I remember like Christmas time, I think we got our Christmas tree at like Armstrong Garden or something. And I live like right there. And so I remember like going down PCH and seeing like Armstrong Garden and being like, oh, I remember when I was like, had Will and he was tiny and I was like trying to put him in he was like too small to be in a carrier. But I was like, I want to use this carrier.
I had a vision for this and this is what I'm supposed to do at Christmas. Yeah.
And like having me in his carrier. And I think my husband and I were like, we're going to go pick out a Christmas tree. We had like, I don't know, like whiskey and coffee and and it was like this fun, like we're a family, we're picking out a Christmas tree. We have our baby and like just thinking of that memory. And then it was like, and then after Christmas, I noticed his lump. And then you
would spiral.
I would spiral and then I'd have to pull over because I would have full panic attacks.
Yeah.
full
So it's
panic
like the
attacks.
joy and the good memories you had were just overtaken by the dark.
Yes, I couldn't have just a happy memory without it turning into panic attacks because I would then replay his whole life. And so a part of the EMDR was to like be able to have those memories without it going to very dark places.
And did it help?
Yeah, it did help.
Okay.
It also helped for me a lot more was like with relationships, because that's difficult. Like as strong as me and my husband's relationship was and is, we grieve differently, and being able to have like understanding for one another, and some other like loved ones, we just grieved differently. And that put a lot of strain on different like close relationships.
Oh my gosh,
and
I
so
can't imagine that.
Being
like, why aren't you more sad? Why aren't you crying like I'm crying? Why aren't you like, how can you move on in this way?
How, like people grieve differently. And some people, they can't talk about it. And so they just move on. And I'm like, no, I want to talk to my son about my son.
I need to
talk about my son. And you're just acting like it's never even happened. And that was really, really hard, especially with some of like close people in my life. So therapy helped a lot with that, like how to navigate through those, and like truly just, you have to accept that everyone grieves differently. Even if like you really need this person, you got to find somebody else, I guess. I don't know.
Do you think I'm judging?
And I did have like, my sisters were instrumental in me getting through the grief process. I actually had one very close friend who, again, didn't know what to do for me, but like I struggled with like even like getting out of bed and doing like daily tasks. Like my husband would be like, you're not working, and I come home and like, how come you have like 5 piles of laundry? But I'm like, I just couldn't do it. I can't do it. I don't know. And so I had a friend who would come over every single morning at like 7:30 and like drag me to freaking Orange Theory.
I love it. She's like, we're going out. We're gonna
go.
Get out of the house.
We're getting out of the house every single morning to Orange
So
Theory.
you're in really good shape.
And then she had a full-time job. She's a professional. And then afterwards, we would go and like have breakfast together every single morning. And then she'd be like, are you good? I'm like, I'm good. And then she would go to work.
And then she would go like, okay, I have to go back to my life. I'm getting you picked up off of your feet. But you're so lucky that you had this tremendous group of friends, family,
and
loved ones
it got to the point where we could then meet at Orchie. She didn't have to like physically take me.
You're like, I promise I'll be there.
Yeah. And it was just, and like once I was like up and like productive for the day, I was good. It was just hard to like
get out of bed,
get dressed, you know?
I've said it once before. I will say it again. Magnesium has truly changed my life. We recently had Dr. Nick on the podcast, and he basically told Kendra and I that almost everyone is deficient in magnesium. So we absolutely need to be taking it. So I have been taking Magnesium Breakthrough for a couple months now. And you guys, I'm not over exaggerating when I say it changed my life. And of course, magnesium helps you fall asleep quicker, helps you sleep better. But I think what it's done for me is I am now not tossing and turning all night and waking up stressed and not being able to fall asleep. I'm able to sleep better through the night, and I just wake up feeling so much more energized.
Over 75% of the population is magnesium deficient. So chances are you are as well. What most people don't know, that if they're taking magnesium, they may be What most people don't know is that even if they are taking a magnesium, you still may be deficient because you are not getting all 7 forms. Magnesium Breakthrough is the ultimate way to give your body all 7 forms in one supplement. Join us in nurturing your mind, body with this all-natural, full-spectrum magnesium supplement. Simply go to biooptimizers.com/campchaos and use promo code CampChaos during checkout to save 10%. And if you subscribe, not only will you get amazing discounts and free gifts, you will make sure your monthly supply is guaranteed. Weight loss solutions are not a one-size-fits-all. Everyone deserves to have a weight loss plan that is tailored to their specific needs. So if you're struggling to lose a little weight and need some extra help, it's time you check out Hers.
Weight Loss by Hers is realistic, not restrictive, and is focused on giving you access to the solution that is right for you.
Through Hers, weight loss plans are more affordable with GLP-1 injections starting at $199 per month with a 12-month subscription. No hidden fees, no access fees, and no membership fees.
Plus, your personalized treatment ships for free directly to your door. Start your free online visit today at forhers.com/chaos. That's FORHERS.com/chaos for your personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/chaos. Not available everywhere. Hers weight loss includes compounded products which are not approved nor verified for safety or effectiveness by FDA. Prescription products require a provider consultation. Restrictions apply. Actual price to customer will depend on product and subscription plan purchase.
That therapy helped a lot with that, was like navigating relationships during grieving and all of that. One thing that I really struggled with was, as a mom, like my job is to keep my child safe and protected, and I couldn't do that for Will.
But you did.
I had so much guilt after losing Will, whether it was warranted or not. I just had this immense amount of guilt that I couldn't protect my baby, that he was in so much pain and I couldn't do anything. I even had guilt over the treatment. There was one of the drugs, the chemo drugs that we were giving him, that they, like, the nickname for it was like the Red Devil.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I'm allowing these doctors to put a drug that they call the Red Devil into my infant baby. Like, I had guilt over that.
No matter which way you look, no matter which way you turn, you're going to.
I knew it was the right thing. Yeah. I knew we did, like, we did everything we could, but like,
you can't help but feel that.
The guilt.
Yeah.
You know, letting a few different, like the stem cell collection is really tough on babies. And it was really hard on him. On anyone, it's hard on adults, kids, and it was hard on him. And watching him go through this and thinking, like, I'm letting people put him through this. Like, I'm supposed to protect him, and and he's feeling pain, and I'm not stopping it. Ugh. You know, even like watching him, for babies, when they do an MRI, they strap him down because you can't move, and he's crying and upset. And he's strapped down on this.
My job is to protect him, and I can't protect him.
Yeah. So I felt like a lot of guilt. That was hard for me to overcome. And like I said, I very much accepted that this was Will's life. This was like God's calling for this beautiful child, and that he is an angel that blessed us, for 8 months. And I accepted that. The part that I had trouble with was like the pain, that he felt a lot of pain, that I couldn't protect him. That was the hard thing for me to cope with, was why did he have to feel pain his whole life? Why does all he know is sickness and hospital? Because I had all of these dreams with having a child, and like places I want to take him, and these experiences I wanted to have that I was robbed of.
Yeah, they were ripped out of your arms.
And why that, And so I really struggled. And I have an aunt who was telling me about this clairvoyant that she had seen, or she had visited, and how it was like very helpful for her, because my grandparents, my mom's parents, had passed away, and she went and saw this like beautiful woman who like was just like in tune with like the spiritual world and like the heavens, and how our loved ones are with us all the time. We have angels with us. We probably have angels in this room with us right now. Sure. And that she just is closer, like just with them. And so my aunt was telling me about these experiences, and how like she would talk to her parents, my grandparents, and she's like, you've got to go see this lady. And I'm like, this sounds like a lot of like Dr. Guacamole mumbo jumbo stuff.
Woo-woo
like,
stuff,
yeah. I'm like, I don't know if it's for me, but I was like, I'm going to give it a try. And so this woman books out a year in advance.
Oh, well.
So Will passed away end of May. In November, I made an appointment. So I was going to see her the following November. Okay. In the meantime, I got pregnant again through IVF, one of Will's little embryo buddies, with JJ. Yeah. And my aunt calls me in, I think it was February, and says, I have an appointment with Tracy O'Mara tomorrow. I can't go. Can we swap?
Oh,
I'll take your November. You take my February.
And you had just gotten pregnant.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And I was like, do I need a call or anything? She's like, no, just here's my appointment time, just show up. So I was like, okay. So one thing I really struggled with when I got pregnant again was the connection, because I was like, it's hard to say, I don't want this baby. I want Will. I want my baby. I don't like, and I was so connected with Will throughout the whole pregnancy that not having that with this next child was very hard. And I felt like almost like there's something wrong with me. But like, if I was honest with myself, I just wanted my baby back.
Yeah.
I don't want another baby. I want my baby. I want Will. So it was a really hard pregnancy for me. I don't know if maybe we had gotten pregnant too quickly, but
how soon after his passing?
So he passed at end of May, and I got pregnant in around like November.
Okay. It's like 6 months.
Yeah. And so I went in to go see this woman, and I was like thinking I was going to go into an office and there was going to be like beaded curtains and like incense.
Yes.
And she was going to be in like this like flowy skirt and have like long, like curly hair.
She's going to look at my palm or something. Yeah. Like, where are we going with this?
Yeah. And I walk in and it's like a medical office building. And she is like the cutest like woman from like England. So she's got this cute English accent, and she's wearing like a little Patagonia sweatshirt and like mom jeans.
Okay, like I can get into this.
And I'm like, yeah. And it's just like kind of looks like a therapist's office. And we sit down and she goes, hi. And I'm like, I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Joanna. That's all I said. She's like, so nice to meet you. And she goes, oh, your son is here. I swear to you, I have not said anything. This woman doesn't know who I am. And she goes, oh my gosh, your baby is here. And she's lit up, this woman. He's the most crying immediately. He's the most beautiful boy I've ever seen. He's got big blue eyes, and oh, he's a cherub. She kept saying, he's a little cherub. He's just this beautiful angel. He's so happy. He's so happy. And I'm just like,
she had no research you on Instagram. She had no research.
She didn't even know who was coming to the appointment.
She didn't know that your aunt was canceling. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And so Will was definitely there. I don't know if, hopefully this doesn't get controversial. People are going to be like, you have lunatics on your podcast.
No, we love, you know what? I'm a lunatic too.
But it was important for Will to know that he was there, that for me to know that he was there and present. And he described his nursery. He like just very, very specific things.
He came through her describing his nursery. Mm-hmm. Wow.
She almost like, she would kept like looking off to the side, almost like, I don't know if she could like see him, but she like, there was a communication going on there, and my son was there. She knew about his cancer, and something really interesting is she actually lost her daughter to a brain tumor.
Oh, wow.
So, this woman is beautiful. Like she's like very, very religious. She says that she gets all of her messages from like the angels and the heavens. And she like also like grew up Catholic.
Well, and it's so interesting you say controversial, because I know that so many people that are strong in their faith are like, oh, you can't go see a clairvoyant, or you don't go seek outside. So I know that it's like,
and how she just described
taboo, but
how she described heaven, where we always think like heaven is up, and she's like, heaven is right here. It's like this thin veil, but like heaven is right. It's so close, and it's part of our it was just the most beautiful experience. So Will was there. She described like the car I was driving at the time. And like Will was like, my mom car was like a Cayenne.
Yeah.
And it was white. And she was like, oh, he's talking about like this like white fast car, and he like left. So I like went home. I was like, I forever have to drive a white fast car.
100%.
I'm so sorry.
No minivans.
White and fast.
And wow. So it was, and another thing that helped is she said, I told you about like the final moments of Will's life and how I wanted him to be cuddled up. And one thing, and the only people in the hospital room at that time was my husband and my cousin, Allie. And I know this is strange, but I kept saying like, I was bundling him up. Like, I don't want him to be cold. I don't want him to be cold. And I even When we were burying him, I put a blanket over him, and I just had this like feeling like I don't want my baby to be cold. I don't know if it's like a mom thing.
You had this intuition, something was speaking in you.
And she says, she says how beautiful my baby is. And she says, he wants you to know that he's not cold. And wow. She knew like I was having it. She's like, and some other things, like I told you about this mom guilt I was having. She said that all he knew his whole life was how much his parents loved him. He doesn't know pain. He doesn't know hospitals. All he knows is how much love that his parents gave to him his whole life. And she said that she has this picture of him in the hospital and that he's surrounded by angels that protected him from the chemo, the illness, the disease, the pain. He was just 24/7 protected by a team of angels. And she like painted the most beautiful picture. And for me, that was very healing. Hearing from this clairvoyant, from my son, that like, it's okay, he's okay, that he didn't, because that was the guilt I had, was like, all he knew was pain, all he knew was love. And she said that like, it just things like, you know, like, she's like, I just have the vision of you and your husband and holding him and being with him. And so that was really, really, really special. And then she said, I was wearing a some leggings, and we started in the hospital. Actually, another one of my good friends like put together a logo, and we called it Will Strong, which was like for Will. And so I was wearing this like sweatshirt that said like Will Strong on it. And you couldn't tell I was pregnant because we're going with that. And she goes, "You're pregnant." And she's like, she's like, "Your belly is illuminating right now." And she's like, "You're pregnant." She's like, "Do you know what you're having?" I said, "Yes." And she goes, "So you know this is Will's brother?" And I said, "Yes." And she's like, "Will loves his brother so much." And they knew each other before he even you became pregnant with him. And their souls are connected, and Will is so happy and excited. And I needed that.
For you to be able to move on with this pregnancy, feeling joy.
Yeah. And because I was really struggling with the pregnancy and just that whole vision.
It's a part of Will. It's Will's brother. JJ is Will's brother.
Yes. And she told me at the time, they kind of bounced. She was bouncing around a little bit based off of what she was seeing, because she's just like interpreting, right?
Yeah.
And she was saying like, there's a man in your life. It's a father figure, but not your father. And losing Will was very hard on him. But he's very stoic. And I was like, okay. I'm like, and she's like, I don't know. And she's like, I keep seeing a J. Maybe his name starts with a J. It's your father-in-law. Is his name start with a J? And I was like, yeah, my father-in-law's name is James. We call him Jim. And she goes, okay, yes, this baby is going to help him move through this grief. She's like, Will's passing has affected him more than you can know, but he doesn't show it. And this baby is going to help him so much. And she's like, and I feel like this baby is almost named after him.
So hence, in comes JJ.
In comes JJ. So my father-in-law's name is James Joseph, and JJ is James Joseph, and we call him JJ. And and then there were some other things. Mike's grandmother was there and had some messages for Mike, which is really sweet. And there were some other things that were
so this woman put you back together in a big way.
In a big way.
In a big way.
And
so from here, you had JJ.
So I come home and I told Mike, Will just named this baby. And he was like,
your husband's probably like, I'm sorry. And I'm always driving a white fast car.
Yeah. I'm always driving a white fast car. And we have a name.
We have a name.
And I remember when we actually we're out to dinner with Mike's parents, and we told do you want me to
No, keep going. Okay. Sorry.
We told Mike's dad that we were, we're going to name him James Joseph, and we're going to call him JJ. And his dad broke down, and I have never seen him cry before. And it meant so much to him. And to this day, JJ and his grandfather, Jim, have the most special connection and bond. And that's his guy. And I do truly feel like JJ helped move him through this. one more thing, and then we'll be done with the clairvoyant. She kept saying she sees the numbers 2 and 3. She's like, do those numbers mean anything for you? And I said, well, the number 3, I don't know, my husband, like when he was like in high school, like his number was 3 for baseball. Like, I don't know. Like, and she was like, okay, well, it's the numbers 2 and 3, 23, 2 and 3. I don't know what it is, but like, we'll keep that. That's an important thing that he's saying. So keep that in mind. And I'm like, okay, like whatever. So I told Mike that, and and we're like reaching, like, what could that mean? And like, I don't know. So JJ's due date was July 4th. On June 23rd at 4 a.m., my water broke.
Stop.
At 4 a.m. And I go, Mike, my water broke. We've got to go to the hospital. And he goes, Joanna, it's the 23rd. And I was like,
wow.
Will knew.
Okay, wait. So you had JJ on June 23rd?
Yes.
Oh,
insane.
My God.
Yeah. And so I feel like these were all like, I needed these things to like really heal. And then the moment
Will sent them all to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then like I was thinking in my head, like I went through something so horrific. Like JJ is going to be like the easiest baby, right? Like not to ever say this, but like I kind of owed it. Well, JJ is the biggest personality. Yeah. God actually knew I needed a big distraction.
Big distraction.
Big distraction. Yeah. And so that's like my little JJ. I always say he's like my special boy, you know. He's crazy.
He's crazy. And then you've had Tommy.
And then I had Tommy, and then little Mikey.
Like, what's my fourth baby's name?
And then
this is what happens when you've had 4 children.
No, I know. And so actually, because we had the one girl embryo, and so Mikey was supposed to be Lillian, but surprise. So we were gonna have the girl, and so after Will, we just put in the next strongest, and then we had Tommy because we're like, oh, the brothers, I don't know. And then I was like, I really want my girl. I've always wanted a little girl. And unfortunately, during when they were the thaw, she didn't survive. And so that the doctor's like, your body's prepared. She's like, I knew, like, because another thing.
So right away you had to make the decision, okay, thaw the boy. Oh.
Yeah. And after losing Will, I like those embryos, I'm like, I have to have them all.
Can you have the rest of my 8, please? I have a couple girls in there. I'll give you.
So, we lost Will. And it's like, okay, well then like, this is our family now. Yeah. Like we're going to have 3 boys and a girl.
It's a really big responsibility when you have those embryos.
Yeah. And I don't know if I didn't lose Will, how I would feel if I would have had 5 kids. But at this time, I'm like, I have to have all of, so.
This is exactly what you're meant with right now.
Right. And so, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Joanna, we're so honored to have you and to share Will's story and your story, and not without tears. I mean, we both probably look a little disheveled, but
I know. Really quick though, before we go, can you just share a little bit about what the foundation does now?
Yes. So we raise money for pediatric cancer research. Cancer right now is like the number one disease that is like killing children, or children are not surviving 20 and younger. Only 4% of federal spending for cancer goes to pediatrics. 96 goes to adult cancers. And the treatments out there right now are archaic. All of these chemo drugs were not designed for children. They're designed for adults, and then children are receiving them. So children who are even now like surviving cancer are left with mental issues, hearing loss, heart issues, other organ issues. They're stinted in growth. They have learning disabilities. So they're surviving, but they're not thriving. A lot of them have like neuropathy, nerve pain for the rest of their lives. Chances of secondary cancers throughout their life. And so there's a better, like we talked about this before, there's these brilliant doctors out there. Their research is there.
They need the money.
They need the money. And so my husband and I, we started a foundation, and we host a golf event every year. And we've done some other events, and we just raise money for these researchers. And we're in a unique position where we could give them directly the money.
Yeah.
And we, it's just kind of become, like I said, my mission is to help find a cure. Yeah. And I'm very blessed, honestly, that I have met these incredible doctors and these most incredible researchers. There's one doctor actually at Lurie Children's in Chicago, and we fund a lot of her research, and what she's doing is unbelievable. There is a type of brain tumor called DIPG that has a 0% survival rate that she's actually coming up with a vaccine for.
Whoa.
It's incredible. And so we're helping her with that. And there's some other doctors, Dr. Venkatramani at Houston Children's. We also support some of the research and the work that he's doing. There's another doctor at Stanford Children's that we're also supporting a lot of her research around DIPG.
So as much as Will was your angel, you are these doctors' angels and these future kids. Yeah.
Yeah. And another part of what we do is like we honor children. So every year we choose like a Will's Warrior, which is a child who's like currently going through cancer. And we honor them. We share their story. We try to spoil them and their families. And we get to be a part of their journey. And for me, that's like we talk about the healing process, being a part of these children's story, being a part of these like moms. And I also talk to a lot of moms who their child got diagnosed with cancer. I want to be a beacon for them. Like when you go through this, you feel very isolated and alone. And so I want to be someone that's like, I've been there. I know what you're going through. I know the hospital. I'm someone you can call at any time. Yeah. So that's been very like healing towards me. And like I said, it's like part of like my, like what God intended for me to do and what Will brought into our lives. But like, it's really opened up my eyes to what's going on. And so yeah, that's kind of what in a nutshell.
And where can they find Will Foundation?
Well, we're actually through like the Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation. Okay. So you can go through them directly. We have an event coming up in, we try to do it every year around Will's birthday. Okay. It's like Will's birthday celebration. So we have an event coming up. It's actually going to be September 30th at the Huntington Club. And so it's a big golf tournament with a big after party, live band. There'll be a silent and live auction. So,
and this can all be found on your Instagram too. You don't have
it's all on my Instagram. Everyone is invited. Come on out. But it's a lot of fun, and we're celebrating Will, and we're going to be celebrating their 400,000 children a year are diagnosed with cancer. And we need to bring that. Not only do we need to bring that number down, but we need to have better treatments that are not toxic for these children who do survive.
A plan.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't have a plan.
Well, you did the best you could. And
thank you,
now
guys.
you're making a huge difference in your families' lives.
Thank
you for sharing Will's story and being so open and trusting us with this.
Absolutely. Thanks,
we appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to Camp Chaos. We hope you enjoyed today's episode.
If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our show. Connect with us on social media at Camp Chaos Podcast. Until next time, campers.